Be live. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout. Tonight, the hosting this week kind of got jumbled around a little bit. Originally, Richard from Zedium was going to be hosting, but he's feeling a bit under the weather. So I took over tonight so that throwing out links at the last minute as far as where to catch the stream and who was hosting. But because of that, I'm going to continue to go with Richard's topic suggestion, which was favorite Halloween prints. If you guys in the chat have or want to DM me a link on Twitter, let me know in the chat that you DM me a link, and we'll do what we can to show some screenshots of the model or the thing number website link you send. We'll try to get that up and share models as well. But we're coming up quickly on everybody with a 3D printer at this point has printed something Halloween related. So we're going to start off with some introductions from everybody, get to know each other, and then we'll start talking about our prints. So let's start. We'll go the order at the bottom of my screen here. So the first one is going to be Mitch. Go ahead and do your introduction.
Hey guys, I'm Mitch. Mitch 3D is my YouTube channel. I'm also the Mitch on Twitter, Instagram if I use it, and I have several projects that I'm working on right now. I need to get back on my video YouTube, and right now I'm working on 2 Prusa Mark IIs. I'm upgrading my Siemens CNC Aris. I'm building a D-Bot. And I think I'm going to actually start helping my friend build a Rostock Max V3. So I just enjoy building 3D printers and printing with them. But that's what I do. So and I can show off my Halloween print later, but that's it for me. Oh, we got to there.
Okay, next up we've got print and play. Some difficulties on my end.
Okay.
Everybody, I'm James. My channel is Print and Play. Just wrapped up a project on my channel for the Cherry 3D printer. I did some quick searches and saw everybody was asking to see how to build one, and nobody gave it a shot. I got a couple Halloween prints, but we'll get into them, later on. Looking forward to the discussion tonight, though, with the decoration prints and how it ties into like cosplay and stuff too. So, yeah, I'm Print and Play on YouTube, and on Twitter I'm JC Print and Play. That's it for me.
Come on. Sorry, guys. Come on. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do it.
All right. So this is You Do It, John DeStefano. I run the You Do It YouTube. My channel is geared mostly towards DIY. Recently, I got into 3D printing. Also have CNC work. You'll notice my background is the music studio that I worked on. My son's music studio, where I put a crown molding around. That's one of my signature videos I have in my playlist. So definitely give that a check. It's real easy to install. Being new to 3D printing, I got my Prusa i3 MK2S in March, and I think I printed probably 20 things, designed some stuff in Fusion 360, tried Tinkercad. I'm really a fan of Fusion 360. So that's it for me. All right, so
Okay, I think I got my problem straightened out. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry for the little bit of a confusion here at the beginning, guys. As you guys know, you're on the How I Do It channel. As far as what you can expect to see on my channel is just a little bit of everything on how to do things, how specifically I do things from time to time, depending on where we're at. You'll get to see some what I call the How They Do It series, which is talking to other people, other makers, occasional manufacturers and stuff. Me primarily, I do all kinds of stuff. There was a little bit of discussion on Twitter earlier today about think even though I can do this, somebody can probably do it quicker, better, and cheaper than I can. I like that idea. I'm stubborn and like to try to figure out how to do stuff myself, even if it costs me more. So I mean, that's what you guys can see on my channel. So again, for all of you that are just joining in the chat tonight, we're going to be discussing Halloween prints. And I guess to start things off, if you have something and you're just in the chat and not on the stream, if you have a link or a thing number, get my attention in the chat. I do have the window up. All my technical problems out of the way now. I'll do my best to be able to feature the stuff from the chat as well, because I actually do not have too many Halloween prints at the moment, besides some projects that I'm working on. So I guess let's go back in the same order we started. Mitch, do you want to showcase your 3D prints for Halloween?
Yeah, I'm not really decorating this year because I just moved. But the one thing I have, probably one of my best prints I've actually gotten on the Mark II was the Grumpy Pumpkin. And you can see it, like, I think I did this with 0% infill at 5 perimeters. And so it's completely hollow. And the model itself actually had pretty much like some weird model errors. And so at the bottom of it, it completely printed the brim, and then it bridged this entire section. So this entire section is just like loose filament, but it actually continued to print the rest of it. The whole base was printed basically as a bridge. So that was pretty impressive. And it's a really good print. I think this one took about 29 hours to print. My roommates call it the Trumpkin because it's orange. It's funny. But yeah, it's the Grumpy Pumpkin. I don't know the Thingiverse link yet, but we could probably put it in the chat. So that's the only one I got.
My lights are too bright.
Yeah, it's kind of blown out, but yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
So you said about that bridge on the bottom of this thing?
Yeah.
I thought the same thing until pushed it out, and it completely popped out of the bottom. Gave you a nice clean.
That's weird.
To like stick an electronic candle or something in it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it should have just been modeled to be printed hollow anyway. So.
Yeah.
But I could probably print it in vase mode. Well, I couldn't print it in vase mode because it would probably just all the overhangs would probably fall through. But it's a nice print. I really like it.
It is. It's actually one of the better. All the ones I printed a bunch of these. I printed them all on my Tevo Tarantula, which has the worst stringing problem. But this print actually did pretty well. Now I printed it with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle instead of the 0.4. But it actually did really well considering the quality that I've gotten out of that printer at this point.
Yeah, I just posted the link. It's thing 159638. That's the Grumpy Pumpkin. Originally by Scampo. And then I think there's been some remixes of it as well. So it's a great model.
It is interesting when you're talking about the bottom of that. Did you download the one that said it was a flat bottom? model? Like there's a fixed version of it that the original creator released, and it said it was a flat bottom.
No, I just printed the original one.
Okay.
I think I did that.
The flat
yeah, I
bottom
think I did the original one.
the same way with the bridge.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But one of the remixes looks like it. They have ones that are hollow for lights. The Grumpy Jack-o'-lantern. That should be. That has a removable top that you can put on it. So,
okay.
But it's a cool model, especially if you can if you go in mesh mixer and kind of hollow it out or do something different with it. It's kind of a fun model to start from.
Right. John, I'm not sure if you're frozen or if you're still smiling.
I'm here.
Okay.
I muted myself so you didn't hear anything.
Yeah. Okay, you are moving around. The little block of you at the bottom, all it was this big grin on your face. And I was like,
that's an interesting blue screen effect too that you're doing.
Yeah, that's using the chroma that comes with the Logitech.
Oh, okay, cool. I was looking at the background. I was like, "Is that your room? It's all blue." But
it's my son's music studio. Yeah, so I took a picture
really
of
cool
the studio.
You know what? I actually always, so far, every time you've been on, I thought that was the room you were actually sitting in. I didn't
realize. No, it's not. So if I can mess up the room, and you can. Well, look, my arm disappears. So.
Oh, cool.
You were saying when he got up, he just disappeared when he walked into the background.
All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and do your Halloween prints, John?
I don't have any Halloween prints. I can. So that's a real bummer. No, but so one of the things that I dived into was vase printing, right? And I mentioned on Twitter that I haven't done a vase yet, and everybody was like, "What? You didn't do a vase yet? You've had your printer for how long?" So yeah, I started it and started getting some failures, and I think I got the hang of slicing it. I actually used the solid model and sliced it for vase mode, and that seemed to work well. When I used the hollowed out, the proper vase that you view, that you would expect it to print as, it didn't work. It created an inner wall and an outer wall, and that's not what I wanted. So that's it for me on that. There's other topics I'll talk about later.
What vase did you print?
Any?
I don't remember the Thingiverse number. I have it at my other house.
Are there any Halloween prints that you've been eyeing up or seen anybody else doing that piqued your interest at all?
Yeah, there's some that Jeffrey did. So his last three were really awesome. I don't remember the Thingiverse models that he used, or I think one of them might have been Carmelo's too.
Which one? I saw Carmelo's. Which one did he do?
I got to look it up on Twitter.
I remember seeing it, but now I've seen so many, especially with Jeffrey doing the 30 days or 31 days of Halloween on his 365 project. His, and I keep seeing ones of his that pique my interest, and then the next day I see something else, I'm like, "Oh, I got to print that."
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, he's the reason why I printed a vase, all because of him. So it's Jeffrey's fault that I printed a vase. But I wanted to print one for my wife. Oh, okay. So I don't know if Carmelo did this one. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. It's cutting out my phone. All right, so that's not working. No, that was not Carmelo's. It was the skull with the horns.
He disappears. It's awesome.
If you were going for that, I know that, right?
Oh, the one with the horn, the Not Heli. Hell Skull. Yeah, I'm looking at the 365 project videos. I'm real amazed.
Halloween.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, it's that one there, but it's going to cut out.
The last 2 days, I've like gotten home from work and didn't even come down in the office. I haven't even started anything on the printers. I've just came home, relaxed, went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine coming home and forcing myself to do the 365 project.
Oh, I know. Yeah, figuring out what you're going to printing it, messing with it, and then shooting the video and then editing it all in like a day. Yeah.
No, he's a trooper because he also has failures, so then he has to work his way through the failures and still get a print. I would consider it a failed print a print. I mean, if anything, that's a lesson for everybody. Look, this stuff happens. It's not a perfect science.
Yeah.
Even us experts still have problems with printers.
Actually, that's a perfect segue into my prints because the first Halloween print I went to do, this is all I got out of it right there. There's supposed to be 6 of these of different sizes. And it was one of those prints where, have you guys ever started a print where you're like, I feel like I shouldn't leave this alone? And then you're like, nah, I'm sure it's going to be fine. I've done prints like this before. So it was just 6 of the guys. They're flat. So I printed them right on the bed. I wasn't really worried if it had a little bit of elephant foot happening. But so I came home and the printer's still running. And it's picked up all 6 of these minus this guy, and it's melted them, and they fused up into the hot end of the CR10 and then out through the fan.
Oh no!
So it's snapped,
man.
And the fan is still spinning, but it snapped the blades off of it, so it's not moving any actual air. Yeah. And the best part was when it grabbed one of them didn't let go of the glass, so it pushed the glass off the thing. So the glass was lying on the floor when I got home.
Wow.
It didn't shatter?
No, it. I think it bounced off my chair on the way down, so it cut like the distance in half. But I didn't even chip the glass, so I was like super, because I thought for sure as soon as I go to print on it again, it's gonna shatter. But it held up okay. So I replaced the fan, put everything back together. I printed this off, and there's some extrusion problems, so I think I'm probably gonna have to clean the hot end. I think after printing for that long and having hot material just molten in it didn't work out that well. Some under extrusion and some various other problems. But this one here is one of those like light up dealies. So if you put a light into it, theoretically, it's supposed to like cast some creepy shadows or whatever. But all it does is highlight where the material is missing. It's still pretty cool though. And actually, I think this one here is my favorite. So this one's one of these pumpkins that just looks like a regular, regular not carved pumpkin. And then when you put it over a light.
Oh wow!
Velocity printing.
Yeah. So
the litho.
Yeah, so the face is like hidden in the side. So if you actually look on the inside, you can see the material is missing. But as long as there's no light passing through it, it looks completely normal.
Yeah, that is cool.
It's one of my favorites. I had one that I printed for my wife, I guess last year, and I don't know what happened to it. So I quickly ran this one off the since the CR10 isn't working quite right, I read it off my old what's it called? Simple Metal. And
the one behind you?
Yeah. That was one over there in the corner.
Yeah, those are great printers if you mod them.
Yeah, it's like I've swapped the hot end. It's not running the original hot end. It's running actually I think it's a V5. I had the V6 on it, but because of the light won't turn off there. Now it's upside down. Because of the height difference, I haven't gotten a mod that works on it properly. There's a bunch of people that have gotten it working though, so I haven't given up. And the only thing is I'm going to revisit the lead screw because I find that like I've replaced the lead screw a couple times, but I find it tends to wear and then you get Z-banding over time. So I'm going to go with something better. But that seems to be a common complaint because they released a mod kit for it to switch off of the rod they're using and switch to a Acme rod instead. So.
Yeah.
Do they have a backlash adjustment nut for that?
No, everything's kind of just like built in.
It's gravity, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's there's no, because you're talking about the type that have like the spring and stuff built into it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, in this case here, like you watch it spinning over time because like I think part of the problem too is that It's all on the one screw, first of all, and then like I think there's maybe a weight problem because every screw that I put into it is sort of warped a little bit over time. So, anyways, I'll go with something stronger or whatever. I mean, it's still printed decent enough. I just wouldn't want to do anything that has to be like, you know, mechanically proper off of it. But printing off a pumpkin's fine.
Yeah, you can make those. You can make the bed wider, like 8 inches instead of 6 inches, or
Oh yeah, this
200
one here.
millimeters to 150.
This one here, I put the Matrix Precision add-on, so it's 8x8 by 12 now. Been way
Wow,
happier
that's a
with
really
it
good
than-
size.
But yeah, so you can see the heights, like, because the old one was about to there. So, but I mean, it's such a simple design. I had to extend the wires. Most people don't, but I don't know. Mine just didn't quite make it up to the top. But other than that, all you have to do is put in longer smooth rods and a longer threaded rod, and you're good to go.
So I upgraded my printer this past couple of days. I got the Noctua fan for the i3 MK2S and installed that. Had a tough time getting a couple of screws in, so Chris Practical Print was in there with my colleague John, and I didn't have a tap, and so I'm like, all right, look guys, you know, I'm an engineer, you guys do stuff, give me some hints. And they said heat up the screws with a soldering iron, and let me tell you, that actually worked. That worked really well, so I really thank them for helping along with that. And that fan is very quiet. The only thing I have now, my only complaint is that the cooling fan for the plastic is loud, the squirrel cage. And I'm wondering if they have a quiet version of that. If anybody knows, let me know.
I know after like a couple 100 hours of printing, though, like mine has gotten a bunch of dust and debris and junk in it because there's no cover. So, but they're like the cheap ones. They're 50 millimeter fans from China that you can get like for really cheap. So, I don't think there's a quieter, better option that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the same cheap fans on my printers, and I mean, you get stuff caught up in it. Eventually, it gets worked in that the fan doesn't want to start up on its own anymore. I'll start prints by kicking off the fan with my finger, and after a while, I get tired of it.
But I did find one thing I'm doing for my Iris. Man, it rolls off the top of my head, but it's basically an air pump for an aquarium that you run through a little tube, and then it goes to a little blower, to a little metal tube with a bunch of holes in it, and so you can actually remotely add part cooling to your hot end. But the pump blows air, so I don't know if it's any quieter, but like you could probably put that in a box on its own, you know, so it would kind of you know, so if you're really trying to get a really quiet printer, you could have like a blower fan basically in it through a tube.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a long enough tube, you could put that in another room or whatever. If you, like you're saying, if you want it to be really quiet. But
yeah, Chris from Practical Printing had suggested that to me with my Delta.
Yeah,
a few months back, I think back in the spring or something. Him and I were talking. Apparently that I mean, which it's a nice lightweight way to get cooling on your Deltas and stuff, where you're trying to keep your effector to be as light as possible. The Hidden Face Pumpkin, I did post the link to Thingiverse. It's thing number 134066. I don't know if we got that or not, but I pulled that up. Posted that in the chat too.
the one for the light up skull is thing number 513684, in case anybody's interested.
What was that number again?
It's 513684.
I'll throw that in the chat as well.
Feels wrong because I feel like I'm reading out a phone number and I feel like there should be one more digit. And it's like,
Jenny's number.
yeah. It's
Jenny,
thing
what about your
555-1234.
8675309.
Yeah. Well, I think it's already past that on Thingiverse. I was gonna say I want to get that number for Thingiverse.
Were you gonna
Or Thingiverse number 666.
I think this is model 666.
Yeah, it destroyed your printer. That's why it's model 666.
Yeah, that's evil incarnate. And it wasn't even simple like, oh, you failed, or oh, you're hot inside. It's like, yeah, you know what this piece of glass can do? It can hit the floor. There you go. It'll leave you alone again.
You could have been bare feet standing right there at the moment. And
oh man, that'd be a great a great little script to do is just a randomizer for Thingiverse. You just randomly pick a number and it goes to a random Thingiverse page.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you could tie it even more? So it's like you click the button and it sends a random STL file, slices, and sends it to your printer, so you don't even know what you're printing until it spits it
out. Oh, that sounds amazing. We should do that. Whoever is good at writing scripts, make that happen.
Yeah, but then somebody can make sure you get a DDoS and print a solid block that fills your printer volume.
Well, that's what would happen is that people would just start putting up solid blocks of plastic in various sizes on Thingiverse, 100%. or something else that's more inappropriate, and then that's another type of complaint.
I will start a Twitch stream just to have random prints if somebody does that. Like
that's actually a fantastic
I'll supply
idea.
the filament.
Yeah, people would love that. 100%.
Although I don't think you can actually just stream your printer on Twitch.
Yeah, it's against their
to monitor it. Yeah, so it'd have to have something else to it.
So even when you do in real life, you can't just stream the printer, huh?
No, you have to have a personality on there somewhere, or a person.
I could be on the stream and they still wouldn't have a personality on there.
Oh. Hey, we're on YouTube. We're good. So
I'm just not used to this thing where I don't get multiple takes.
Yeah, I like doing streams live streams, because it's easier. You don't have to think about how you're gonna edit it later, but then you also mess up.
Yeah,
live on
the failure rate of live streams on my part are pretty high. So the story of mine was last night I was set to print a vase using Pucha's Repcord filament. I got the Midnight Purple or something. I forget the exact name, the product name. I was set to do that. I did the live stream, opened up the package, and I'm like, oh, great. It's not compatible with my spool holder. All right, guys, I'm going to have to print a new spool holder that's compatible with this roll. And so then I killed the stream, and I'm going to take care of redoing that again next week. But that's part of the problems that you have if you don't completely work through everything that you're going to do for your live stream.
Just a reminder to everybody in the chat, if you guys have any prints that you want us to throw up, I'll screen share or throw up here on the background. Any prints that you guys want us to show off as well. I'm trying to pull up a couple that people had sent me earlier. That's what I'm not being too talkative at the moment.
So I participated in a 3D printing meetup at Printed Solid in between where we live, Matt and I, in our vicinity in Delaware. One of the takeaways I had was I really need to calibrate my printer. I haven't done that. The only calibration that I've done is really the PindaProbe and the Live Z, playing with that. But Dave Randolph was telling me about, you can get the same PLA filament from a manufacturer, different colors, and even the different colors, you have to calibrate each one of them because they have slightly varying properties. So if you were to print a temperature tower or the XYZ cube, you would have to calibrate again for the other color filament. That was an interesting takeaway. The other thing that I got was the placement of the Z-axis before you print. I wasn't aware that it's ideal to take the Z-axis like halfway or a little bit higher off of the bed because the PindaProbe in the MK2 and the MK2S is sensitive to the heat from the bed I can skew it into an area that it's not accurate for compensation.
Yeah, it can actually move it. Like it creates a distortion that can be up to, what is it, like 0.02 millimeters. It's not. It can mean the difference between it sticking to the bed or it not. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So that was a good takeaway. Then another one was, he said that there's people that are really fanatics about bridging, and that they can successfully bridge across the entire bed. From 2 different points. You can bridge a perfectly straight line all the way across 2 points. And he said it's just a matter of finding the right extrusion, the right temperature, and the right cooling fan, or the RPM for the cooling fan.
Yeah, Joel Telling did a bridge on his G-Max from corner to corner. I forget what the distance was on it, but whatever, basically the maximum corner to corner that he can do on the G-Max, and ran a bridge across that.
Wow. Yeah, that's see now all that's getting in an area that I really want to dive into, but I have to take my time at it. Still have fun with the printer, do things, but there is going to come a point where I want the most perfect print I can get.
Uh-oh. Did I convince you to get on, Glenn?
Fun King.
What? I'm on? I thought I was only watching. What? I'm actually in. Hey, everybody. How are you?
Hey, good.
Hey.
Aren't you short half of your Fun King 3D brand?
Yeah, but you know why? We're going to Orlando Maker Faire tomorrow, and I didn't want him to be tired, so
don't get the money maker exhausted.
I made him go to bed at a regular time and told him that I was going to pop in for a little bit. So it is a little weird being here without him, but it is what it is. So
this is when we see Glenn from Fun King 3D crack into a beer. It's like this is when he relaxes.
This is Fun King 3D at night.
Yeah, no, let me tell you what. You ever see me crack into a beer? There's trouble coming, because I'm a glorious almost 45 years old, and I've never had one. I'm 100% alcohol free. I'm afraid that I would be a terrible drunk.
Well, the good news is it wouldn't take a lot to get you there if you've never had one. At least it would be a cheap experiment.
Right, probably just the smell. Just the smell would get me there. So I was listening a little bit while you guys were on earlier, but I don't have any Halloween prints. I don't know what you're talking about right now, but I just, I don't have any Halloween prints at all. The only thing that we've done even remotely Halloween-ish, I was going to say Halloween-y, but Halloween-ish is coming out in next week's Xander's Thing Thursday. So I can't show that to you yet because it's a secret.
But hey, at least your Prusa printer's orange, right? I mean, orange is a Halloween color. So there you go. You got the Halloween printer.
Well, I do own orange, filament. But what he printed wasn't actually orange.
Oh, I actually have one thing for Halloween. Let me go get it.
While he's grabbing that, this one, over here, was a submission from John Mack on the Facebook group for his Halloween prints. So I'm not sure. He didn't say about if it's wood fill or what for filament he's using there. That was kind of a neat one. I was thinking about asking him what model that is and putting an LED or something in the bottom of that to flicker.
Sure.
That would be amazing to print that thing like 9 feet tall.
Yes.
We need to go get the parts daddy specifically for this job. Just walk out. We have a very important task to accomplish. Please give it to us.
Oh, he would totally be up for it. Steve would be totally up for it.
I don't know how that would print on there
awesome.
because they definitely need some supports for that mouth.
Oh yeah. I don't think the part daddy does support or retraction or anything like that.
It doesn't. It's not removable.
Actually, one of the things. So actually, my costume I did last year and what I'm doing this year is Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. It's kind of funny.
Oh wow.
That's why I'm growing out my hair. But one of the things I was able to do last year for my costume was print the hand of the king or hand of the queen, and then I weathered it. Yeah, and I did this at 0.1, and it actually it actually came out really good. Like I did, I used acrylic paints. I did kind of like a wash to make it look like a bronze or silver.
See, that's my favorite kind of print because if you didn't tell us it was 3D printed, you wouldn't know it was 3D printed. So
Yeah, right.
No, yeah. This is on the Prusa before I ruined it. Unfortunately, my Prusa is clogged right now, so I'm resorting to the 3 other printers that I have in the department. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of Halloween related, is being able to do costumes and props. And it's really nice because usually my Halloween costumes are done last minute. So if I can find something related to my costume, I can print it from Thingiverse and have it for as a prop. So it's really convenient for Halloween costumes. So I don't know what you guys are going to do for Halloween costumes if you guys do that.
I'm just going as a fat Italian.
Well, you can get the Mario hat and then you'd be right at home. Yeah.
This one's from the Happy Extruder 3D on Twitter. This is his
that's
Halloween
cool
print that he submitted.
Yeah, I like that one.
Sorry. Again, I'm not being too talkative because I'm trying to go through and sort out what everybody else has been doing. Oh, John Mack posted the thing number for the tree. It was thing 2560613. Hey, that one actually matches a phone number. Halloween Creepy Tree is the name of the tree that I showed that John Mack submitted on Facebook. For Halloween, my daughter originally, so last Halloween, the day after Halloween, my daughter came up with the idea of our entire family dressing up like the Trolls from the Trolls movie, which was cool. It gave me a good excuse to come up with a glitter cannon. My wife was going to be the troll that's covered in glitter. And I was going to come up with a glitter cannon that would shoot glitter out of her butt. So we were walking around trick-or-treating. But since my daughter has given up on the Trolls and went on to about 100 different things, but she finally said to me the other day, she goes, "Dad, you can wear your Stormtrooper helmet or Shore Trooper helmet while we're trick-or-treating." So I'm going to walk around and wear that. Nothing else. I don't have the full armor or anything, but I'm going to walk around with the helmet on.
Yeah, I'm actually going to work on that. On the armor, because we just got a really nice vacuum former at our makerspace, and so I want to work on actually making the molds for a custom Stormtrooper outfit, kind of like Barnacules did. Jerry did like a custom one, but instead of printing it, I'll just CNC carve the molds and then do a vacuum form of white polypropylene or whatever.
Yeah. Doing the vacuum form is so much easier than doing the 3D print.
Yeah, but I think you can 3D print molds for a vacuum former if you put a release on it so that it doesn't melt the plastic that you make the mold out of. I'm not sure how that works, but
I think because of the fact that with the vacuum forming, you're heating the plastic from above, so the heat, the plastic medium that you're going to use for the vacuum form itself is acting as a barrier from the 3D print. So if you do it right, you can vacuum form using a 3D print without worrying about melting it, because basically as soon as it hits it, it's cooling off that quick that it's not going to quickly transition your PLA or
it cools very, very quickly and resolidifies.
Yeah, it's fast enough that the heat doesn't transfer into your plastic from the 3D print.
Cool. I'd like to see a video on it. I haven't looked on YouTube for it, but if any one of you guys have done it.
That is on my list of things to build as a vacuum former. I've been wanting to make one for a little while.
Well, we can make Stormtrooper outfits.
They have examples where you can build one that fits into your oven.
Yeah, I've seen
former,
I've seen people take just like picture frames already. You lay the sheet of plastic out on the picture frame, stick that in the oven, let it get soft, and then you bring it out, and they're just using like pegboard, a box with pegboard on top of it with
in the
vacuum.
shop vac usually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shop
and
vac
I've seen
hooked
them.
up to it.
I've seen them where they put a space heater like on the top and have the plastic in a frame. So you bring it up against the space heater until it's melting, and then you bring it down and kick the vacuum on, and it'll suck it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one we got is a commercial unit that actually has like a little controller that does like timers and stuff, but it basically is like a pullover oven heater, and then the mold actually you have a drawbar and it like lifts the mold up into the plastic, so you don't have the plastic itself doesn't actually move. It's really nice. But I mean, it was definitely a very expensive machine, so we're gonna have to do classes so that a lot of the members can use it. But that's again one of the challenges of a makerspace is it's all volunteer effort, and so trying to get a couple hundred people trained on the machine is difficult. But it's cool.
So Heather sent me a. Well, she didn't send it to me. She posted it in the chat. Thing number 644370. Scary thing about that Halloween print was it was the end of Thingiverse. So it gave me a 404 error, Heather. So if you have a
That is
number.
scary. The end of Thingiverse would be terrifying.
I like that it's the old Prusa Vertexes that drop from the little alligators.
Oh yeah,
like the models that drop down. That brings back memories. Like back in my day, Thingiverse was just a few models.
I remember when Thingiverse was still at single digits.
Wow.
Back in my day,
I don't actually remember that. It was long before I started 3D printing.
Yeah, what is Thing 1? There's no Thing 1. Okay.
What are they started at? 5 digits? Maybe Thing 1000, or either 1000 or 10,000 is the lowest?
Well, I need to figure this out if I'm going to do a randomizer. We're going to DDoS Thingiverse apparently now. No.
Hey, there is a 1000. It's a wire spool holder. I'm going to continue to work on this. This is something I can do with my intelligence level.
So here's the thing number. I believe it's 1854344 that Heather was trying to post. Looks kind of interesting.
No, I like it with the LEDs. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool to turn that into a helmet that you could wear.
Oh yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
Uncle Jesse just printed something. What did he print? What was the helmet that he printed?
who Uncle Jesse? You said.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think the shorter list is which ones hasn't he printed yet.
Yeah, right.
The new one, did you just print Red Skull, was it? I'm trying to remember which one I just saw. I know it was all red, so.
Well, I just watched a video of his today where he did the Magneto helmet, where he was talking about slicing it in Simplify. I'm not going to get that out tonight. Simplify.
Simplify 3D. There,
I can't do it. I'm tired. It's late where I am.
Glenn, you go when he was trying to slice it, and I'll go Simplify 3D, and then nobody will know that you didn't actually say it. Yeah, and he did the precursor video where he showed that he tried to do that one first before he started 3D printing. That was pretty interesting to see too. That he tried to make it from scratch originally.
Yeah, that was one of his more recent videos. Which one was that? I'm trying not to like overwork my laptop.
Also, for reference, it looks like the very first thing was Thing 100, and it's a Ceratosaur. I'm going to butcher this. Ceratoposaur. There we go. I base this on the scientific evidence of there is no number 99 or number 98, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it.
Scientific method. Just start with low numbers and go up or go down.
I failed. There's a number 97. I should have just stopped.
We'll do a binary search. Go to like 50, then go to 75.
Never mind. The first one is number 2. Somebody just
Well,
made
there
number 1 and then
probably was.
deleted. So number 2
Yeah, I
is
was gonna say there
MakerBot
probably was
screwdriver,
number 1 then.
and it was posted January 6, 2009.
Yeah, number 1 was
Wow.
posted. It had too many issues. They took it offline.
Yeah, probably.
That's funny. Number 2 is a screwdriver for the MakerBot.
What kind of screwdriver? Like that wasn't even a tool.
It kind of looks like it's a flathead. I'll go into Thingiverview and see.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
looks
flathead.
like a flathead.
It's got some sort of weird grip on it.
Oh, I know it. Okay, Heather, the skulls that I have up here, I think, yeah, in this corner. These are the skulls that Heather printed. She did the low poly ones for her wreath. Did you guys see the wreath that she did for Halloween? This thing is awesome. Give me 1 second here and I'll pull up pictures of it. How can I do that without showing my entire Twitter account?
Show your entire Twitter account. It's okay.
Yeah, it's Twitter. It's not like it's that private.
So we're talking about Thingiverse, like first things on Thingiverse. So my first model that I published on Thingiverse is Thing 3259. It's a Zen garden. I made this, I think, before I even made my MakerBot cupcake, and it's 2010. And that was made in it was made in SketchUp. Like I was just messing around with SketchUp. But
what's the number again?
3259. And it's funny because Jim, who's on the See Me CNC for Facebook group, he actually printed it on his V3. And like I never actually got to print it because the MakerBot cupcake was terrible, and the model never printed. So like it was like 7 years later, I finally got to see it printed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So. Yeah, even if you don't have a 3D printer, like design stuff and then have other people print your stuff for you, it's pretty rewarding.
Well, unfortunately, that's what Carmelo is doing right now because both his printers are down. He was complaining about that today.
I know I saw a little bit ago Travis had sent him some files, and he managed to like band-aid his Ultimaker back together.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. There's always that catch-22 with 3D printers where the printer is down, so you can't print the part to fix it.
Right.
This is why I have multiple printers now.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why you own it.
Yeah, until all your printers go down.
I think Barnacle said that. He's like, as soon as you get one 3D printer, immediately get a second 3D printer to fix the first 3D printer when it inevitably breaks.
Yeah, my A8, my ANET A8 has been down for a while. The heat cartridge is failing in it, and I'm getting ready to move it over to the AM8 frame anyway. But I bought the new heat cartridge. I just haven't put it in yet, and now it's like I go to print something that's like a long print, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, because I don't have a second printer in case there's something else I want to print. So I only do 5-6 hour prints at the maximum right now.
Yeah.
I've never had a heat cartridge fail until last week. And I was doing prints on the Cherry 3D printer, and I started doing a print and then realized I'd left vase mode enabled. So I resliced and went to print again, and it just wouldn't heat up again. And it turned out that the heater cartridge had failed just completely randomly, and it was just one shot dead.
Yeah, mine just doesn't, like you set the temperature, like 215 is my sweet spot for PLAs, but for most of my PLAs, but I'd set it to 215 and it would start printing and it would drop down to like 198, 190, come back up to 195, and it was starting to make the prints fail. So, I mean, I'm not even 100% sure that's what it is, but I can't imagine what else it would be, that or the thermistor.
Yeah, I've had the thermistor bad connection, and that usually is what it does.
Yeah, because that's the issue. Once the wire heats up, the wire expands. So if the connection's a little bit off, then yeah. Plus, heat increases the resistance anyway. So if there's any damage to the wire, then you could get false readings.
Yeah, I forked out a huge $7 and bought a whole entire hot end for that thing.
Thank you, Elliot.
Yeah. Joe Mike suggested that also in the chat that I get a E3D V6, but I would still get a genuine one, which I can't really afford right now. But I think because mine's jammed up, I'm pretty sure it's the PTFE tube melted. I think the fan got blocked by some plastic, and I think something melted in the heat because it's an all metal hot end up to a certain point, and then it's a little Teflon tube. So I'm not sure if that's what's going on, but if I lived in the UK, I would just be going over the E3D all the time and be like, "Can I have some rejects?"
Just knocking on the door. I'm here for my monthly pickup.
Like, yeah, they're really nice guys. So might have met Murph. They're cool. They're fun to hang out with.
So who anybody in the group going to Murph?
Yeah, definitely going. I'm gonna hopefully bring a printer this time.
For me, it kind of just depends where we're at financially at that point. Coming out of the winter with heating season and stuff, see how the weather goes and what our heating bills are like.
Well, Farmer's Almanac is bad news.
What was that?
Farmer's Almanac calls for worst winter in a long time.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of
wow.
people that I keep wishing they'd shut up because they keep saying that.
Well, if that's true, that means we might get 50-degree weather here.
Oh man!
You don't need a heater. You just need an A-net A8. You know, that has a bad thermistor.
Right.
So
I don't understand. The room's heated up to 40 degrees, but it says the hot end's only at 130.
So here's the two wreaths that Heather from Apire Designs or the 3D Pink Mafia. Here's the two that she did using those little skulls that I was showing a little bit ago.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah,
Those are so cool.
It's the same one. Day versus night. That thing looks awesome. Heather, you did an excellent job on that.
Yeah, it really kicks ass.
I love it when you
I kind of
see
want to make one now.
it's unconventional. Yeah, I just steal other people's ideas. I'm not that creative.
So my question is, Heather, I guess you use the string of LED lights, or did you wire up each one individually? Because that's a lot of work. I commend you for that, and it definitely came out badass.
Give her a second there in the chat to answer that. Whether or not you used a string of lights or if they're individual lights that you wired up, Heather.
This feels like a perfect opportunity for one of those, like, there was attempt videos where you go to the dollar store and you buy like the little cheap LED pumpkins and just wrap them around one of the dollar store wreaths. It's like, yeah, there's my attempt at it. I gave it my best shot. It was $2.
She said it was a string of pink LEDs.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sure, yeah, I think looks either it's camera trickery or like that lit up at night one. That one looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's times like this that the delay between chat and us is really horrible.
Yeah.
trying to interact with our peeps and there's a delay.
She said that has.
So outside
She
of
said that's about 70 skulls on that wreath.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of them.
Yeah.
so outside of 3D printing, anybody doing anything crazy for decorations or whatever this year?
Not this year. I'm in the planning phases for it. I've gotten my wife's approval to print like 3-foot tall stormtroopers and like a Chewie, and we're gonna actually. I'm working on the details right now of actually having them have a war across my front of my house, and actually have what looks like the plasma from a blaster shooting across the front of my house and stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
Without using LEDs and everything.
So are you going to go with, like, I mean, right off the bat, I think something like clear acrylic tubes between it that the light would go through, or do you have something crazier than that?
I'm actually, the planning phases of it. Yeah, it'll be vinyl tubing going between it that you can't see at night. But to make the blasts from the blaster look more realistic, I'm actually looking at the possibility of using a propane torch that will send
a
gas out through
fire.
the line, then ignite it. So you'll actually get that hovering flame basically is going to go through the tube. I'm working on trying to figure out how to silence the end of it so it doesn't sound like a gunshot.
You want it to sound like a gunshot.
Yeah, I might, but my neighbors don't.
Oh, yeah.
So we're working on that. That's going to end up being a probably a Halloween thing to start out with, like for maybe next year or the following. But then see how long I can get my wife to let me keep it set up.
Yeah, I don't do any Halloween decorating because it's now when I actually start to put up the Christmas display. So there's not enough time in between to do both. So I have to skip out on the Halloween stuff just so that I can stick to the Christmas stuff.
I buy like a dollars for a shower curtain, and I put it across like one of the frosted ones, and I put it across the upstairs window. And I drag my projector out of the basement. And I've got a video of like zombie shadows. So I cast it on there, so it looked like there's zombies walking around the upstairs. Last year was ridiculous. We had like 35 people standing in our front lawn just watching. It was like a 4 or 5 minute video loop. So it was like all these kids, and then these kids would come on. And like, do you have actual zombies upstairs? And
Yes.
like, and this one kid's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and kill them before they eat you. I'm like, that's okay, kid. I've got it under control. He's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, no, it's okay, buddy. You just stay outside here where it's safe. Minecraft has trained kids to be not afraid of zombies. That's what's wrong with the world.
Well, yeah, because
Wow.
when you kill them, they drop important stuff that you need, like rotten flesh.
Yeah.
You can get Pack-a-Punch.
What's interesting about zombies in Minecraft is that they have really good pathfinding AI. So like you can create a maze and they like find their way through a maze. It's really crazy.
Better than the cops in Grand Theft Auto, and it's
Oh my God.
the less powered game. It's always I've always found that crazy. It's like because you build a thing, you build a fort up, and you're working away, and you see a zombie, and then like 10 minutes later, somehow it's behind you, and you have no idea how it got to where it got to.
Yeah, Minecraft is sometimes scarier than some other horror games. If you play it right.
All right. Do we have anybody else from the chat? Heather submitted some. John Mack. Anybody else have any other Halloween prints that they want us to pull up while we're chatting? Well, Tony Ryan just put the link to Heather's wreath video. Let me try to pull that up here real quick.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You can pull that up. By the way, for everybody that's watching Matt's background, he looks like he's in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like they have the trailers, the little 5-minute trailers that show up before the movies. It's kind of the style he's going for.
It's not as trippy as it was when we were first getting set up.
And me, my arm can disappear.
You guys with the green screen need to put us behind you, so then we'd be behind you, and it'll tunnel effect. Whoop.
Yeah, I think I need to work on that curtain because this is obviously my bedroom. And I don't think I want to show my bed on live. But as you can see, I have the finest IKEA furniture. Because
Dude, my whole entire house is IKEA.
I know IKEA is awesome.
Don't worry, Is that the Malm bed, the MALM Malm?
Yep, that's
I got that too.
The Colex or whatever shelves, and
Yep. We have a
the nightstand is
my
also
wife's
a Malm.
scrapbooking.
Yeah, it's when you're straight out of Fight Club, and the scene from Fight Club where everything's IKEA.
Dude, all my kitchen cabinets are IKEA.
Wow.
Even the art, like I have those big paintings that IKEA sells. I have those on my wall in my living room and my bedroom. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
IKEA
love IKEA stuff. I mean, some of it's crap. In fact, the
desk you're
tabletop I'm
using
sitting at right now is IKEA. Not my desk, not my big wraparound. I custom built that, but this piece that I put in place to do this is an IKEA table leaf.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's kind of cool because like the LAC tables, how everybody's been hacking the LAC tables, actually pretty successfully.
Well, they're so cheap. They're like what, $8? I mean,
Yeah, they're cardboard essentially. Like it's cardboard.
big
Yeah, so when you
corrugated
finally find out, like,
cardboard.
you're wrapping your 3D printer in cardboard, so if it catches on fire, you're going for the fences with that. But yeah, I think 3D printer fires are pretty much behind us. Hopefully, you know, as far as the Chinese knockoffs are concerned, maybe not. But
I don't think there's been as many 3D printer fires as people lead you to believe. I mean, everybody
No,
talks about how
people just like to scream.
Yeah, you bought an A8, poof, it's going to catch fire, poof. You know, I don't think it happens as often as people make it seem like it did.
I did have one close call. I did a video on it from my old channel that before I started getting into like straight up 3D printing. I didn't even think about it when I upgraded the size of the bed on the Simple Metal. I also put in an 8x8 heater, PCB heater underneath, and it actually caused the wires to heat up going into the board. And when I went to move it, all but one of the grounds broke off. So yeah, it could have been bad because that one ground would have been responsible for the entire thing. Hopefully it would have just burnt out and broken, but there's always the chance that it starts sparking. And you know, if you get a perfect storm, I do tend to use hairspray for bed adhesion. So
Yeah.
What could go wrong with that? Yeah, you know, flammable aerosol and some heat. No problem there.
The bed only hit 50 degrees. That's okay. I'll just put extra hairspray on it today. And then I'd be on the news, you know, 3D printer kills some guy and 3D printers aren't safe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's that 3D laser printer. Actually, I'm using IKEA. What is this one called? It's the Ivar. It's the Ivar shelving system. That's actually what I use for my 3D printer shelves. And I like them because they're modular, so you can get all kinds of different sizes and stuff, and arrangements. So right now I have like 1 million bins full of 3D printer parts and filament on it. So
yeah, these shelves here in the corner, and then I got big ones across, and they're the same on both sides of here. Those are IKEA. So my wife's desks and the kids' desks over there, all IKEA. So
yeah.
I love IKEA stuff. You know, I mean, I've gotten very good at putting it together, and you know, it's good.
There's a pretty good amount of Thingiverse models for IKEA hacks too. Like really good IKEA hack stuff.
I never thought about looking that up. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Clint, every time I see your office, your room, it just kills me, man. It's so awesome. I mean, it's got everything that an engineer needs.
Yeah.
You got it.
You're talking about like all of the tools and stuff back here?
Yeah. And then you got the printer.
This is a movie set. This is all fake. I hung this pegboard. In fact, I've told the story a couple times, but this window has trim around it now. These blinds are actually paper. They're like super cheap from Lowe's. They're just paper, but none of the windows in my house have trim. I haven't finished it yet. This window and one window downstairs have trim, and I only trimmed this window because it was going to be in the backdrop of the videos. So, and I hung this pegboard. I mean, these are tools that I do use up here, but my garage is detached from the house, and my tools are all down at the other end. So for me to like run and grab a screwdriver is a 3-day journey with, you know, 2 packed lunches. So, you know, like I try to have as much stuff up here, but it is actually smaller than it appears on camera. So, and it's really messy right now.
I assumed it was green screen. I keep waiting for his arm to disappear when he's reaching back there to
Oh no, it's not that, like, it's not fake. It's just movie set fake.
Wait, you're missing duct tape on the pegboard. Is it up there?
Maybe you can't. Maybe it's
I can't
clipped
see it.
off.
Yeah. Okay, so now he has everything.
He's got Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
Gorilla Tape.
Yeah, black Gorilla Tape. Only the best.
Yeah.
And you can tie up a zombie with that.
I built the workbench behind me to hold my 3D printers, and originally it was supposed to be like I'd have cameras mounted down, and I only had one 3D printer at the time, so I was going to do everything there. And it was one of these things. I bought all the wood and we started putting it together, and we were short one but 2x4. And I went into the shed and dug out this one, and it's so badly warped, and I just was like, no, I'm just doing it. So I don't know if you can tell, but the one to the left turns a good like 30 degrees by the time it gets up to the top, and it was just like, close enough.
You can't. I couldn't tell until you pointed it out.
Now you can't unsee it, right? It's one of those things.
Yep.
It's like, damn it, it's gonna bother me every time I watch this now.
Yeah,
James is uninvited from now on.
you're never supposed to point out your own flaws.
Actually, that's pretty cool that you built it. I feel like the IKEA Ivar shelves, though, for the price of the wood, would be cheaper to buy the IKEA shelf than it would be to actually buy wood from Home Depot.
This thing here came out to about $80 Canadian, which is about $2.30 US, I think, at this point. And it's okay. I mean, it's not stained or colored or anything. And the only thing I went extravagant on is I used cedar fence boards for the actual workspace, thinking, hey, I'm going to be videotaping on this, and now it's covered with Bristol board and stuff. So, so that was a waste.
Yeah, next time you can make it all out of teak and mahogany, and you know.
Yeah, what hand planed white oak.
Yeah, that would be amazing, actually.
Geez, I'll get a solid piece of like mahogany or something, and then chisel the desk out of it.
So
Yeah.
There you go.
now you're talking handcrafted stuff. Has anybody seen DN handcrafted? DN handcrafted. He's got a YouTube channel. And everything is handcrafted, really. So he it's not a new concept, but he did a really good video of linoleum, craft linoleum, that you take a artwork like for your logo. Let's say you want to make a t-shirt. You take your logo, you reverse it, print it out, you trace it out on a linoleum, you carve out the opposite, you know, kind of like CNCing, but by hand. And you get a roller, I forget what they call it, a brayer or something, and you roll on the paint, and then you stamp your shirts with it. So that was a neat project. Getting into DIY stuff. You mentioned handcrafted, and his name came right to mind. Are any of you members of the Woodworkers on YouTube or Makers on YouTube Facebook group?
No, I'm on the I like to make stuff group, but that's the only one as far as maker groups on Facebook.
Yeah, check out Makers on YouTube also.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good woodworking videos on YouTube. I'm really impressed with a lot of them.
Yeah,
I love doing woodwork, but my woodworking stuff is never quite perfect. But yeah, I'm also terrible at pointing out stuff. Because like you guys are saying, like, oh, I wouldn't have noticed that. Oh, that's a pretty glaring flaw. Like if I was building for something for somebody and I gave that to them like that, I think they'd be pretty upset. But it's like, yeah, no matter what I do, I'm like, everybody else's looks better. It's like the old Jerry Seinfeld joke where he's like, you know, you go out for lunch and you order like filet mignon or whatever, and then somebody sits down next to you with like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you're like, oh, I should have gotten that. That looks really good.
Yeah, that's how I feel about with printers sometimes. It's like, oh, I should have got a CR10 instead of spending all my money on stuff.
Everyone that's ever been, you just have to own all the printers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, have a third and fourth job to recover.
Right.
Oh.
That's like after I got my first 3D printer, I was like, oh, I'm going to build a 3D printer, and I'm going to build a huge and this was like before the CR10 was a thing. This was a couple of years ago. Like, I'm going to build my own huge format printer, and then I'm like, I know better than everybody, so, why don't people use 8mm rods when they're covering 500mm distances? I'm sure it'll be fine. So that 3D printer is sitting on my couch right now. I think it's printed a total of 10 things, and it just highlights everything wrong with what my thought process was.
Yeah, I mean that's why I don't try to scratch build a printer. I go off of like proven open source designs because I just know better. Like I know that somebody already figured out the problem, and there's a community behind it instead of like trying to reinvent the wheel. on the 3D printer stuff, because FDM printers are all pretty much the same at this point. You know, it's just
the
who has the
mechanics
better
are
idea.
different, but the overall XYZ performance type thing is the same. And then you toss in Delta, which does things a little bit different, but in the end, it's still the same thing. Move the head here and extrude this much material.
Yeah. So Heavy Extruder, I think, was following some of the posts on Twitter. Got a printer and it goes up like super high. I forget how many inches it went up, but it was a crazy amount.
He took the CR10 and modified it.
1,000. It's 1,000 millimeter, but
it's limited by 900, right?
Yeah, it caps out at 900.
Yeah, and it gets a little bit of wobble in the top, I believe.
I guess that's expected unless you reinforce it with something.
Well, that's how he lost the last 100 millimeters. He wrapped the top of it in duct tape to make it a little more secure.
Does that work?
He's in the chat.
You need to use Acrylic.
Yeah,
1,000 millimeters, but 900 on firmware.
There you go.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And he said that's just to be safe. I'm not sure if that's. Have you printed anything yet that like remotely comes close to maxing the height out?
He needs to call that thing like, cause there's like the what's the big one that Parts Daddy? He needs to call it the Baby Daddy.
The Baby Daddy.
Baby Daddy.
What's that noise in the room? Oh, that's my baby daddy.
Should you go check out? No, it'll wind like that for hours and hours and hours. But in the end, you get a nice rocket.
Yeah.
Highest he's printed so far is 500 millimeters.
Yeah, he's having the 8020 is I don't know if they were custom making it or if they have it available, a bracket that he's going to use to reinforce that upper.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't checked out 8020 for extrusion parts, they have a connector for everything.
Yeah.
They will find you a solution for connecting two pieces of extrusion. I mean, if you wanted to connect it to a bagel, they would figure out how to do it, you know?
Yeah. Or you can find it on Thingiverse, I'm sure. A bagel to 8020 holder. Challenge accepted, by the way.
You can get so I also found that Fastenal provides the 8020, and they'll cut it. We have Fastenals all around us here. I don't know about other parts of the country.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
They will cut it. So if you have a lot of stock that you need, let's say you're going to build a large CNC, you just give your cut list right to them, and they're not charging you anything for the cut. And you can get 9 feet, you can get 20 feet long.
Yeah, but how is their prices comparative to other people? Because my company,
it was comparable. Yeah,
really?
Because
Fastenal is generally a little bit more expensive on stuff.
It was the it was compared to delivery. So if I were to get it delivered from someplace else, the shipping was killing it.
Yeah.
So that's where Fastenal was cheaper, because I could just go pick it up in my truck.
Way to go. Now my Delta might just get a little bit taller. Yeah. I didn't know that.
So what were you saying, Glenn, the company you work with?
Yeah, the company I work with buys from Fastenal. We buy supplies, work the construction company, but they just seem like they're a little bit more expensive than everybody else. Not necessarily on 8020, I mean just on general stuff.
No, you're right, because I saw other items that was like, okay, you're charging how much for this? But for the extruded aluminum, it seemed, comparing it for shipping, they beat it.
That's interesting. I'll definitely check into that. So I considered making the AM8 frame taller. I didn't want to make it bigger. I didn't want it to change the heat bed, but I was going to go taller. And then I ended up backing out because I had to buy smooth rods and linear rods, and it just wasn't worth it to me. The amount of money I was going to put into that, I could buy a whole nother printer, but I've definitely considered building my own so it can sit on my couch like James's.
You know what? I don't regret it. Like first of all, I didn't put that much money into actually building it when you buy the stuff like that. And I learned a lot about, because I didn't know a lot about how the 3D printers were built when I bought the Simple Metal. So I learned a lot about the design and stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of what I learned was how not to do things. But you know, that's still useful information to know.
It's still learning, regardless of which side of the fence it went to. It's still learning.
The type of learning, like when you stick a penny into a light socket, you know, like it's that type of learning. But you know, it's still good to know. Yeah.
But where are you putting it? In the light socket.
I'm looking at Fastenal's website now.
Yeah.
I just get jealous when you guys talk about this because none of this stuff is cheap in Canada.
Well, it's not really necessarily cheap in the U.S. either. It's not cheap to be a YouTuber. Content is expensive. There's
You know, it's
no
really,
doubt about that.
Yeah.
I was looking for metric screws, and all the suppliers I was finding for like M5s and stuff like that were in the States. And like, they don't even use metric. We're metric. Why don't we have metric?
Yeah,
We import them from Canada.
Yeah.
That's like the gas situation. We ship half of our oil or 3/4 of our oil to the States. They refine it, then they send it back as gas, and then we pay $1.30 a liter.
Yep.
Wow. But what's the conversion rate now? Like 20 to 1 for Canadian dollars?
I think legitimately it's like $1.25 to 1, but I like my jokes better. I always catch people off guard where I'm like, yeah, this costs $50 Canadian, or about 83 cents US. And then people are, like, occasionally I get it's like, really? I'm like, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah, many years ago, I used to vacation in London, Ontario. I had a friend that lived up there, and so we would go to visit, and we could get a really nice hotel. In fact, it had like a master suite, and then the couch pulled out, so it had 2 bedrooms and a little kitchenette. And after conversion, it was like $30 a night. It was awesome.
There's an arcade I go to once a year in Laconia, and we started going there when the dollar was on par. And like, it's a cheap place to stay to begin with. The hotels there are like $79 a night, and it was like, wow, that's the best thing ever. Now it's like, that vacation isn't as cheap as it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about your arcade behind you. Like,
okay, so that's a custom built 1943. It's a MAME cabinet, and that was because I have a tendency to do these experiments where I'm like, how cheap could I build something? So like the artwork, I edited the actual artwork from the original game and then printed on dollar store paper. The paint that's on it was $1.50 a can black spray paint, and the MDF was the cheapest MDF I could find.
did you hand cut the MDF?
Yeah, so hand cut the sides, then clamped them together and sanded them till they were pretty much identical.
What do you use it for the screen?
It's just an LCD, 15-inch turned 90 degrees. My main MAME cabinet, which you guys can't see, I showed it earlier, is running a CRT, and then I have an actual arcade cabinet that I'm going to convert over because it's got a well, not convert over because I won't damage anything that's internal, but I'm going to grab one of the JIT boards that converts JAM and lets you connect a TV to it with a arcade video card. So it'll be, legitimate resolutions. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's a Piecade mod? That's what it's running, is a...
Oh, like, the one back here?
RetroPie? Yeah.
It's running... It's not a RetroPie. It's a like old AMD XP, Athlon XP, like 1600 that I pulled out of the trash. So it was literally like I built that thing, I think, for $80.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool.
The controls, I've modified it since, so it's a little bit more like pricey or whatever. But originally, I bought the controls, and it was like, I think $8 for the joystick and another $2 or $3 for the buttons. And then I didn't want to pay the $20 for a USB encoder, so I just took an old keyboard, pulled out the top part, and basically the way a keyboard works is there's like 5 or 6 connections on one side, and then there's like 10 on the other. And by crossing this one with this one, you get a
Matrix,
yeah, it's a matrix keyboard. Same type of situation.
Oh, okay. So you just soldered it directly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you push a button, it's like you press Z, and like, nope, that's button 1 now, and then I mean, it's a pretty simple idea. I didn't like pioneer it or anything, but it was literally just to see how cheap can I do this.
Yeah.
Actually, the keyboard for that, they were selling these keyboards at the dollar store that were for like elderly people. So they originally sold the keyboard for $69. Nobody bought them because they were fluorescent yellow. So I got it
Yeah,
for
I've seen
$3. Yeah, so I got it for $3 at the dollar store. So yeah, so much of that came from the dollar store.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
That's
you
really
should
cool.
share that with Linus Tech Tips, because he had a series where he was trying to build a PC from junkyard stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Junkyard
Junkyard
Wars.
they're on like season 6 or season 7 now, I think.
Yeah, you should definitely give him a link over to that.
Especially in Canada, probably where it's hard to find, stuff on Craigslist that is reasonably priced. It's a pretty impressive show.
I've been trying to, like, for me, I've been trying to get back into my retro game stuff, and people are like, why don't you just use DOSBox? I'm like, well, it's the same reason I have all my like actual video game consoles still. There's just something about having the actual hardware for some reason for me. And I threw out, when we moved from my original hometown from Sudbury to Ottawa, I threw out like 15 486s because I'm like, they're not worth anything anymore. So I'm like, I'm gonna go find a 46. Yeah, they're like $500 now to get one that works. I'm like, okay, maybe I will just stick with DOSBox, because because so many of them have failed. Because a lot of the 46s had those old what were the batteries that leaked all over the circuit boards over time? I forget what
was that for the MOS,
The
the
BIOS.
CMOS?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the BIOS
Yeah,
battery.
the
There's
CMOS.
a specific type of battery on it. But basically, they had enough acid to corrode like 20 to 30% of the board when they popped.
Yeah, it was like the one that was like the diameter of a nickel, but it was real like a big barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, and they were soldered right to the board. So that's actually a problem with some of the old arcade games too, is that they had code stored in memory that are held on with a battery so that you couldn't like bootleg the game. And when those batteries go, they take the boards with them. So and it's bad times.
Or you have the Seinfeld episode where he's trying to get the Frogger cabinet across the highway with an extension cord so he doesn't lose the score.
I think at the end he somehow attached to battery packs or something like that. And he's like, "You have 15 minutes."
Yeah.
That was great. The ending of that too, right, Jerry? Just so it was game over. I'm like, it's funny. That's good time.
Yeah, actually, I was pretty lucky to find a Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Yeah, I love it. It's so cool. And everybody's like, why didn't you print it? Why didn't you just print a Raspberry Pi case that looks like a Super Nintendo? I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's all about the Nintendo branded part. It's like I can definitely download all the ROMs that are on it. It's a big deal, but it's just having
but you wouldn't do that, would you, Mitch? Because
no, we don't download ROMs unless we have a copy of it, right?
Right, and you're only getting the ROM for backup purposes.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the reason I bought it, because it's like I don't want to look at like shady ROM sites, like trying to find ROMs for the game. Like if Nintendo would just sell me the ROM, I would just buy the ROM, and then I have a legal copy of the ROM. But they want you to use it on their own virtual machine.
I'm surprised they haven't done something like that. I mean, that would
Namco would do it. Namco will on Steam. You can buy Namco like official games, but you have to run it in their little program.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like it would be a whole nother income stream for them for something that is just collecting dust. Figuratively.
So Atari
is
not dead, right? I'm sorry, I cut you off, man. So Atari's not dead. Did you know that?
Oh, the Atari.
Yeah, Atari's still around.
Atari has to be crowdfunded because that screams that they have the capital to do something good with their business.
Yeah. So go ahead, Mitch. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh no, I was going to say that, but yeah, like MAME emulators as well. Like trying to find arcade ROMs. Like if somebody would just sell the ROMs as legal versions, it'd be great because people that want to make MAME cabinets,
Yeah, like,
I would pay to have legal versions of the ROMs instead of having to download them illegally. I mean,
Midway does it with a bunch of theirs. Like when I bought the controls for that thing, it came with a Midway CD that had like 25 games on one or something like that. So I had like Defender and Joust and stuff like that. But yeah, they all should just get back. Like, because I mean, they're never going to make money off of it again. It's not like they're going to be like one day, we're going to start building the arcade cabinets again because people are going to.
James, your volume cut off. quite a bit, I think, or is it just me?
No, it did.
it's low.
Yeah, you lost some dB. You got a connection issue, or you're sourced to a different microphone.
Let me take a look.
If you're on a USB mic, you might want to try to unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah, we can't hear you, James. We're all just smiling and nodding at you, pretending like we know what you were saying.
Oh, I have another useful 3D print was printing GoPro like frames. Like you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But, like when you have a GoPro, the whole GoPro economy is kind of sucky. So like having a 3D printer definitely helps if you have a GoPro.
Yeah, Calvin did
cool
some of that.
mounts.
He created a mount. He created a double holder for the GoPro. He did quite a bit of things for the GoPro. If you don't know his channel, make it with Calvin. But I think everybody does know his channel.
Yeah, I think so.
One of the stabilizers for a GoPro. One of these days, I'll end up printing that.
Yeah, this is my latest project, which is my Raspberry Pi case, which I designed in Rhino 3D and printed. I've printed a couple of them now, and it was great. And I decided, always on the A8, and I decided I was going to print it on the Prusa, and I brought it into Slicer Prusa edition, and it wouldn't slice. Like there was problems with the file, and I thought, well, that stinks. So this one was actually designed ground up in Fusion 360, the first thing that I've done from scratch in Fusion 360, and it printed and fit beautifully. So
I want to talk to you more about that. How did you make? Did you make a whole female male holes to fit it in, or did you do over extrude over? So how do you get them to clamp together, the two sides?
This one, the first one I made, it's like this, and it actually came in together, like 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter. This one just lays flat. I know you can't really see it, but I left the board, like the board thickness is halfway in this part and halfway in this part. Okay. So it kind of centered it for me. And then once you put the screws in, it just, you know, I mean, it.
Yep. I see that. Yep.
So. Oh, you threaded screws in there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, right through the holes. They're number 4 sheet metal screws, just bought from Home Depot, but they're 3/4 inches long, which is a little longer than they need to be. So you're like for an hour, but that's the only size that they had. And then this one's got a little enhancement that I left holes in the back so you can see the LEDs, you know, so you can see what the activity lights are doing and stuff. So, but and then
you have a copper plate on it.
Well, there's a heat sink, heat sink on all the chips. It was a set. It came with the power adapter and the heat sinks. So, but and then my plan is, because the first one I designed had a spot for a 30 millimeter fan, and it had slots for the ribbon cable for a display in the camera, and then inside it's got a spot where you can run an X-Acto knife or whatever, and you can get it out to get to the pins. But what I decided I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to now remix the lid into different lids so that you can choose whatever one that you want to download. So if you want a clean case, you can have a clean case. But I'm also going to remix the bottom and put feet with screw holes, because I made this to be a VPN server for my office, and because I work from home, so this will allow me to access the office network locally, but I need to screw it inside the wiring closet, so it'll have little feet, so I'll be able to screw it in on the wall, and then that's the hole. So you'll be able to choose what bottom you want. You can choose what top you want. You know, it's like IKEA, you know, pie cake.
Yeah, you gotta come up with a German name that doesn't make any sense.
Flugen pie.
Also, I think I fixed my mic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, actually, we're my roommate's actually writing a custom Raspberry Pi interface that's gonna be like so that we can see how much we all owe for bills, and we're gonna actually have like our bills split on this Raspberry Pi thing. That's pretty cool.
All of a sudden, the roommate never owes any money.
Yeah, we spend it all trying to get the Raspberry Pi working.
Every couple of seconds, the amount that you owe goes up by a penny, and his goes down.
Oh yeah. the office thing I'm gonna have.
I feel like I'm the only loser here that uses Orange Pis instead of Raspberry Pis, just to be different.
No, they're great. They're cheap, and they don't have a video driver on them, right? They're headless.
No, I've got this one here was the Lite, and it's got 2 USB, Wi-Fi, and HDMI. And then there's the one that has
HDMI?
Yeah, and it'll do. They've actually ported like RetroPie to it, so there's Retro Orange Pi because that's really easy to say. They've ported that to it, and there's also a one USB version of this. It's like I think $8 or $9 US. That has Ethernet, HDMI, and a single USB port. And it's a quad core 1.2 with 512 megs of RAM.
Wow,
so
that's pretty good.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
The only downside is because it doesn't have as huge a support group. Because the nice thing about Raspberry Pi is like, I like RetroPie, for example. Actually, they've done it for RetroPie, Retro Orange Pi as well. Some of the stuff though, like Octoprint, there isn't an image for Octoprint, so you install like either like Debian or Ubuntu or whatever you want on it, and then
you have to compile from source. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not pretty much. That's exactly what it is. But other than the fact that you have to wait, a couple hours for it to do that, it's not really a big deal. And what I was actually really surprised with, I had a Raspberry Pi. I guess one of the original ones is the version B, and I was running Octoprint on it. And there's all sorts of stuff like I would cancel print, and it would take 20 to 30 seconds before I could start sending commands to the printer again. And when you look at the log files, it's because it just had so much that it was working on. I'm like, okay, well, it's just what it is. So then I installed Octoprint on one of these and realized how very, very slow the original Raspberry Pi was in comparison, because all of a sudden everything was just very, very quick. It's like uploading stuff on the original Raspberry Pi would take me 10 to 15 seconds to toss a set of G code onto it. And with this thing, it was instantaneous. And I always thought, well, maybe it's network. No, it's just the the speed of the Pi. So.
And how much was that?
This one here, I think it's $13 or $14 Canadian for the one with built-in Wi-Fi. They have them down as low as $5 or $6, which is the one I think Mitch was talking about, the Orange Pi Zero, which doesn't have HDMI, but it's the same quad-core processor, and they have a 256 meg or 512 meg variant, and it has both Ethernet and Wi-Fi built into it at that price point.
Wow.
I think the headers aren't soldered onto it though, but I mean, if you're just looking to use it for USB, it's fine for that.
Yeah, I have a bunch of Pi Zeros when Micro Center started selling them. Like every time I go to Micro Center, I'd buy one. So like I have a whole stack of them.
I do the exact same thing.
My colleague was saying that the Pi.
Now I'm like, what do I do with our W's that work?
Yeah, you can only go in and you can only buy one or two or something at a time.
Yeah, they limited you. Micro Center is a dangerous place for me.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yeah, I have 2 boxes of inland filament. I just bought a racing wheel, Thrustmaster racing wheel for my racing sim stuff. Yeah.
Man, Thrustmaster. No. I had the original joystick.
Yeah, I had one of those.
What was that? I used to play the F-15 Eagle and Falcon F-16. Jeez.
Yeah, the Thrustmaster.
Is that what you use it?
Yeah.
Is that where you have to use the game port on the sound card, the Sound Blaster card?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was that the black one with the red buttons?
Yeah. I duct taped it to the arms of my chair, so it felt like I was in a cockpit.
That thing was awesome because it had a adjustable pressure spring in the middle, so you could adjust how quickly it snapped back to 0 point, or you could just disable it altogether, which would be really funny because I'd be sitting next to a buddy that was using it, and I'd slowly turn the dial, and he'd let it go for it to go back up, and it would just flop to the side.
Here's a Sound Blaster card right here with the game port.
With the game port, yeah.
Yeah, this is the this was like a really high end one. even the back plate is gold. You know, like
Oh man.
I don't know what
That
these
Sound Blaster
things-
Live looks like, or an Audigy. That was the Audigy, I think, had the gold plate, right? Or
Yeah,
the Sound
you're right.
Blaster Live 5.1.
Yeah, I think it's the Audigy 32, which
Wow, you guys really know your Sound Blasters.
yeah, when I remember when I got this thing, you know, like I was big into listening to MIDI music back then. You know, MIDI was cool, and
You just listen to Canyon on loop, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. So, and I remember the day that I brought this thing home and put it in, and fired my machine back up and went to listen to music, and it started up, and I'm like, what is,
Oh yeah, because it had a MIDI table on it, and it simulated actual instruments.
yeah, it was like, what is wrong? Something's wrong. It doesn't sound right. And it was just like hugely better than the old one. You know, it was like,
It was funny though. 'cause
Is that the one with the Yamaha chip? There's a Yamaha MIDI chip.
I can't remember, and my eyes aren't good enough to see anymore.
I remember working in a computer store when those came out, and we plugged in, and I started playing some MIDI music off of it. And because I was such like I guess a purist or whatever, I was like, this sucks. Like, give me the old one back, because it sounded like actual instruments. I'm like, I didn't want actual instruments.
Yeah, all I remember is having to put the IRQ request numbers or IRQ numbers in DOS games
Yeah, it was
to
on
like
port.
get Sound Blaster to work.
Yeah, port 220 IRQ 5 with DMA 1 and 3 assigned to it. Pray to God that you don't have anything that conflicts with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
you got that memorized. Somebody
was just
sent that
telling
in
him,
one
like-
too many times.
I was
I
just
have-
telling
Yeah.
a coworker, we just built him a new machine. It's a new guy that we hired, and I built him a new computer for the office. And I was telling him about how when I built my first computer, you got a motherboard and it had like 100 jumpers on it that you had to go through the book and set each little jumper
Yeah.
based on what processor you were putting in. And there was nothing plug and play back then. And the card, you had to tell the card what interrupt it was going to have. And if you had two cards with the same interrupt, it was going to crash. And
Yeah.
a long time ago.
I got so bad with stuff in terms of memorization that I had the product keys for Windows 95, 98, and Windows XP memorized at one point for the ones that I installed. But the funny thing about Windows 95 is you could put in 14797-OEM-002-366- any 5 numbers and it would work. The last
Right.
5 numbers were completely
Yeah,
irrelevant.
I remember that one. Not by digit, but I do remember that you could do that code.
Well, now
Actually-
everybody who's watching this chat, this live stream, is going to be able to activate their Windows.
Don't do that. We don't authorize you to do that. That's just that's just a fact. It's
Yeah.
it's like saying that if you were to shoot somebody that they could die. You know, we're delivering information so that you don't
Yeah.
do it.
It's just like saying ROMs are illegal if you download them illegally, as long as you have a copy.
Actually,
Right.
the best thing was for Office 97, the product code to make it work was just 112-1111111. That was it. It's like 112- as many ones as you can fit into the text box.
Nick just said in chat that he think about the punch out code to face Tyson.
Yeah, I just read that at the same time.
Not to change topics, but here's another Halloween print from this one's from Matt Johnson in the chat. Let me throw this up to the front here instead of back on the green screen.
Oh, you hosts always pulling us back to the main
Sorry.
topic.
Why is your video so fuzzy? Is it?
He's a Quentin
It's a
Tarantino
laptop
going
camera.
back to the.
One of these
Oh,
days,
yeah.
I'm using an actual webcam instead of using the laptop camera.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. Because it takes your whole resolution down.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have to hop on over to Patreon and oh wait, no, Matt doesn't have a Patreon anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Matt Johnson's doing. I'm not sure why he degrading my quality coming out for some reason. I'll tell you what, let's do it's the last 15 minutes here before the 2-hour mark. Let's do the outros. Everybody where they can find more of your content. If you guys have YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, whatever, go ahead and now's your chance to plug it. Start with Glenn, since we actually never really did your intro, Glenn.
All right, so I'll intro and outro it the same because it's all the same information. But I'm Glenn, and normally this is Xander, and we're Fun King 3D, and we are Fun King 3D at pretty much everything: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon,
MySpace.
What's that? Did you say MySpace?
He did, yeah.
His only followers,
yeah.
Tom.
No, but I do have a Gap.io. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gap, but it's supposedly like the new
Gap.
up and coming.
That's the Reddit. Is that the Reddit replacement? No, that's not.
I don't know. It's supposed to be a new
Techno
social media, but
Alpha
it's all user funded. So, but yeah, and then I joined that Viuli or whatever it is, the new thing that's going to take over YouTube where they pay you better. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, anyway, we're Fun King 3D at everything. If anybody's going to need to print a minion to stand in for Xander is a minion. So if anybody's in the area and is going to Orlando Maker Faire, we will be there tomorrow. I know Ron the Happy Extruder will be there. Other than that, it's pretty much the same projects going on. Xander Thing Thursday every Thursday, which is great because it's guaranteed content for me every week. I will get going on my content too, so soon. So I guess that's all I have. Did I cover everything? I guess so.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I think you got all your stuff. Are you on Patreon yet?
Yeah, we have a Patreon. We're at Patreon Fun King 3D.
Okay. Mitch, on to you.
Okay. I'm Mitch. Yeah, Mitch3D.com actually goes to my YouTube channel. I haven't updated in a while, but I'm gonna probably start. Lately, I've been doing robot combat, and I actually just went to a SparkFun AVC event in Denver. And I 3D printed a robot, which was really cool. An Antway, so the 1 pound robots, and competed in that. And so if I had video or pictures, I would post that. But I just haven't had time because of work. But I am the Mitch22 on Twitter. I try to be active on that. I'm also on Facebook if you know me personally, and I'm also the Mitch22 on Reddit and Instagram and everything else on the internet. You know, Zanga, Blogspot, you know. No, I'm not on those, but yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll be on probably next couple of weeks.
All right, James.
All right, so I am James Cameron. I'm not the James Cameron, just a James Cameron. I am Print and Play, so youtube.com/print and play. I'm JC Print and Play on Twitter. I have a Patreon set up. I think it's JC Print and Play as well. In terms of content, every Monday I do a Make a Model Monday, which is kind of akin to Xander's Things Thursday. I don't know which one of us got there first, so I'm just going to say I did.
Well, regardless of who got there first, Xander has the better theme.
Yeah, it's true. I don't have music on mine. Yeah. Xander's theme song gets stuck in my head for like 6 days, just in time for it to get out and then get it stuck there again. The ukulele haunts my dreams. So yeah, I have Make a Model Monday every Monday, and then I try to have an ongoing project that's sort of a weekly thing. So just finished the Cherry 3D printer. Next thing is going to be retro gaming related. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you can check me out there.
All right, John.
All right, I'm John. Would you do it? You can find me on Twitter, you_do_it. You can just type in you do it, you'll find me. On Instagram, I'm you.do.it. My son makes music. That's the background that you see. It's his music studio. His song, Daniel Noré, was kind enough to host it in his one video where he had the weights trying to stress test the 3D printed trucks for his skateboard. I don't know if you remember that video where he had all the weights stacked up on it, and then he got on it too and almost died. But yeah, I think he's up and coming. That song is kind of got a YouTuberish type of vibe going on, and he's still making music. My channel is geared towards DIY. But it's not me doing it; it's you doing it. That's why the name of the channel. I do it so that you can do it, and that's it.
And of course, you got my channel, How I Do It, sort of along the same lines as you do it. It's just general me doing stuff, or other people doing things, and how they go about doing it, or how I go about doing it. It doesn't mean it's the right way, doesn't mean it's the wrong way, it's just a way. And like Glenn said, I actually do still have my Patreon. I didn't completely remove it. I just took the attitude with it. I'm not promising anything. And there's no tiered donations, like a monthly donation, but you can go on and still donate to the channel if you want to. But yeah, I did, as of recently, I pulled, as of the beginning of this week, actually, pulled Patreon for a few different reasons. You can go on my Patreon to read the full write-up as to why I did what I did. If you guys do want to support the channel, though, you can. Let's see, on Twitter, I'm at Country Cowboy. Instagram, it's Matthew Flinchball. YouTube, it's youtube.com/howidoit. And Facebook, I'm on there, but it's sort of kind of like Mitch said, more personal. I'm friends with a few of the creators, a few other people from the community, but I sort of am, to an extent, I try to keep my YouTube and Facebook, the two of them, separate. But you can find me on there. Other than that, hopefully getting some more content out here in the next couple of weeks, now that it's winter and we're not quite running around doing as much. So hopefully see some more videos here coming out shortly. I am planning on doing an update to my Christmas / year-round holiday lights. They've been outside for about a year now, and that has led to some complications that I need to resolve. So I'm going to do an updated video on that and how I fix those problems as well. So I'm going to quit rambling on. The next Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout will be, decides to pop up, November 3rd. That Friday is the next hangout. Again, we try to, by the Wednesday before the hangout, have who's hosting picked out. This week was a little bit different. Richard was going to host, but he's feeling under the weather, so we all hope that Richard feels a bit better. And he said he may come back and host next week. But the general way we do the hosting is get in touch with me on the @F3DPCH Twitter account and let me know that you're interested in hosting. Or if you haven't been on the stream before, we like to have everybody be on the stream while somebody else hosts it first before having somebody new completely host it. There is a Google Hangout, just a continuous chat amongst everybody that you guys see here, everybody you've seen in the past on the stream, that has all the info as far as that's sort of where we coordinate who is going to host that week. So if you're interested, just DM me on the F3DPCH account, and I'll accept the messages on there. It's not open for everybody to DM, but you can send a message and I'll accept it. Of F3DPCH gets to pick the topic for that week. This week, Richard did pick this topic, and I just decided to continue his since he wasn't going to be able to host. So that's pretty much it, except for one other thing. For those of you who do follow the F3D PCH account on Twitter, I posted a message today. We're looking for the designers in the community to come up with a logo for F3D PCH. And what we're looking for is something to use as the profile picture and also as banner pictures for F3D PCH. The one request that I do have is keep 3D printing in mind and keep the logo 3D printable, because I do have the intentions of whatever logo is picked, painting and finishing and everything, the logo. What's going to end up happening is we're going to end up setting a date probably in December to have a deadline for submissions. And then on one of the Friday night hangouts, all the hosts and the chat are going to get to vote on and select the favorite logo. And that'll become the official logo for the streams. So if you guys are interested, if your creativity is looking for something to do, you can help us out. I did have a bunch of people who have Fiverr accounts message me since I posted that. Because none of us get paid to do this, we're not looking to pay for a logo. It's just kind of, we're looking for the community to pull together and come up with something for us. And we'll select the favorite, the most popular vote. We'll get it. So, all right, I'll quit rambling and we can get back to whatever. Although if you guys do want to continue chatting, I'm going to run outside for a little bit because there is a pretty decent meteor shower tonight that's supposed to be peaking here in the next like 3 or 4 minutes. So I may jump out if we continue, but I'll come back.
Take your webcam out there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good enough.
It's hard enough to see Matt sitting in front of it. Matt, did you say that people from Fiverr reached out to you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people all of a sudden DM the F3D PCH account requesting me to accept the DM, and then they go on to explain that they have an account on Fiverr. They start asking me a bunch of questions first about, what are you looking for? So the one guy, I spent probably 15 or 20 minutes going back and forth answering questions and kind of explaining, like, here's what I'm looking for. And then I looked at his profile and I wrote him back and I said, Sue, I see you're on Fiverr. I said, just so we're clear, I said, I'm not looking to pay for this logo. I said, I'm looking for just a community sourced. And the guy wrote back, he said, thanks for your time. And that was it.
Wow. Well, at least the people out there are hungry to make a buck. But no, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think among the bunch of us, we have enough creative talent.
Yeah, you look at some of the modelers and stuff that we have in the community. I figured it'd be cool to have the community come together. Like right now, the banner picture and the icon picture for the Friday Twitter account is just my desk. Yeah, it's got printers on it, but it's not really anything special. So I figured it'd be cool to have the community come together, and then everybody who's hosted or streamed on the Friday night hangouts gets a weighted vote towards the logo, but then the night that we pick it, the entire community on the chat will also get a vote in it too. So
sounds good to me.
So if anybody wants to, DM me on Twitter if you do a sketch up of it or a final version. We are looking for a final usable banner and profile picture, but DM it on Twitter and we'll get it entered into the submissions. Sorry guys, I'm keep rambling. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Everybody right now is working on a logo in their head going,
Yeah. I'm like, how can we make a maker coin out of this?
Actually, I was just creating a Fiverr account so I can get paid for it.
Well, while we're talking about Fiverr, I want to throw out a impromptu plug for the guy who did write Xander's theme song. I did pay for it. I don't have to plug him, but he did just a magnificent job. for $5 plus I tipped him. But his custom drum loops on Fiverr, and his link is always in the description of Xander's Thing Thursdays. So if you ever want to have a great ukulele song written, and so you can just listen to your own theme song over and over again.
I have yet to go to Fiverr and get something that is actually $5. Like I just redid my logo, and I think I ended up spending $25 including the tip. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the new logo.
Well, I don't promise anything, because I mean he is an independent guy, but like he's got upgrades where you can get the additional instruments, which was like another $10, and then you can have it mastered, which I'm not a music creator, so I don't know what it takes to master a song. And mastering was like another $25 or $30, but he threw all of that in and just knocked out that amazing, addictive theme song. I mean, you got to realize, like I mean, if you write web pages for a living, which I used to do and still do once in a while, that you always write the back end code before you do the design. If you do the design first, by the time you're done with the back end code, you're tired of looking at the design. When you edit a video over and over and over again, and you listen to the same music over and over again, you get bored of it. And we're coming up on the 10th Xander's Thing Thursday, and that song plays twice every time now, in the opening and the closing. Still like it. Still not tired of that.
You know what would make this for me, though? If I took your link and I went to him and I was like, hey, I want to commission a song for my Make a Model Monday. And he sent me back a song that went, it's Make a Model Monday, hey. And it's the exact same song as yours with just Make a Model Monday instead of Xander's Thing Thursday. Every song he writes is this. It's like, come to McDonald's, eat our fries.
Oh, that would be hysterical. I said the only thing that song really needs is at the very end, it needs a yay. And I almost put it in there, but I didn't want to mess it. I mean, it's just so it's good, So, but I mean, like, how much variation can you really have with a ukulele? I mean, there's only a couple of chords you can play with a ukulele.
Hey, hold on 2 seconds. I have something relevant to this.
He's gonna get a ukulele.
Oh no! I'm scared.
If he gets a ukulele, it better be 3D printed.
I have a 3D printed ukulele, but it's outside the room.
I've considered printing one, but the hardware is so expensive for it.
It doesn't stay tuned because it has 3D printed pegs, and the pegs don't hold at all. But it actually works really well. It's like a little piezo pickup, and then I have a little amplifier. And I brought it to Murph. It was kind of fun, but I just can't play it because I don't know how to play. I learned like 2 chords.
So not only is it
really
a 3D printed ukulele, it's a 3D printed electric ukulele.
Yeah.
That's
it's a really
baller.
cool.
That's pretty baller.
Yeah, nuke.rocks is the website, and it's an actual paid STL. It's a pretty nice one though. So, there we go.
So after all this build up, this better be good.
I'm scared.
Wait, was there a build up? Were you guys discussing what I was doing while I was gone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is gonna be a massive disappointment then, because this was one piece at some point, and I guess it fell over. So, do you know what the biggest let's say tick off, because I don't know where our swearing level is here, but of this print was, look at how nice and pretty that looks. The blue's nice and smooth. The lines are great. I didn't realize the 10th layer under extruded, and then the rest of it turned out perfect. So I didn't even notice it was printing. I'm like, oh, it looks good. And then I checked the status because it was like a 28-hour print. I'm like, oh yeah, it looks good. And then when I finally went down to check on it when it finished, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a hole right through the bottom. Like, that's loose. So
you gotta make a piece of brass or something to cover over the top of that,
That's right. Yeah.
Decoration.
It's a happy little accident, right?
Yeah. It's a nice model though.
It is, and it printed really easy. That was the surprising part for me, because I was like intimidated with how big it was, and when it was in one piece, it actually sounded pretty good. Because I'm a ukulele connoisseur. But
well, now you gotta fix it and write and play your own theme song.
No, I'm gonna learn.
There
I'm
you
gonna learn
go.
how to play Xander's Thing Thursday on it, and then whenever we do one of these live streams, I'm gonna play it until you do actually hate the song.
Oh, that would be hysterical. Yeah, he calls that his life theme song. So for the longest time, I have a copy of it on my phone, and for the longest time, like when he'd come home from school, I would play it as he walked in the door.
Okay, Glenn. Hopefully he doesn't watch this video later on and make it this deep into it. But what you need to do is go back to the guy that commissioned it and have him write Xander's Thing Thursday for it's Xander's wedding day. Hey, 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 and then play that when he gets married.
That would be pretty
Wow.
It's like that's like the long con, right? Because that's like 10, 15, 20, well, probably more than 10, but you know what I mean. So many years in the future, so to plan it now.
But I could, I mean, he's already written the music. He'd have to just change the lyrics, so I could probably get it done pretty cheap. So I could have it like for his graduation, his first date.
First
the first time he's going, Xander finally got a date. Hey.
Wish you hadn't been 40 when this finally happened.
That's something that happens on the
Wah, wah. That's mean. I'm mean. That's
funny. That's funny. Yeah, he won't likely watch this because he wasn't in it. He only watches these so he can watch himself.
that's cool.
Yeah, I saw him complaining that his friend doesn't watch his videos.
Oh, let me tell you what happened there, because there's more than one Jacob in the world. So he calls out his buddy Jacob. You know, this Pikachu's from my buddy Jacob, who doesn't even watch my videos. The other Jacob does watch his videos and was so excited that he called him out in the video. You know, you mentioned me in the video. So guess who had to print another Pikachu?
You know what the best part was? While I was watching that video, this was printing on the Cherry. I was like, well, that's a coincidence.
That's nice, but that's the wrong color.
Yeah, he's an angry Pikachu. He's the evil version. Yeah, I'm going to draw a little goatee on him so that all the Star Trek fans get that this is the bad guy.
Yeah, I had a really fun time editing that video, you know, with the whole Pikachu clip in there and stuff. But his next one, the next one coming up next week's, I really had a good time editing that one. So
you are the king of fun.
I have to get something out of all of this. And you know, like, I don't know if you guys actually look at his thumbnails on the videos, but I always try to find something that's just, you know, just some outrageous. And then the bloopers, I love to do bloopers with him, because it is literally an hour worth of filming to get 5 minutes out of it. And we have jokingly around said that we are going to do one live stream one time so that people can see why I'm bald, you know, from just pulling my hair. It's just like, just do it. Just read what's in front of you, you know? So, but I mean, it's like, it's an hour of us sitting down, coming up with his verbiage, you know, with his script and what he wants to say, and then getting him to do it. So I really want to work on getting him off the prompter, though. I want him to, even if he has to do it in sections, I have to clip it together. I want him to do it more naturally. So, but I do love having fun in the videos, and I don't know, it's getting good. It's getting good feedback. I mean, he's had like 60 some odd views already since yesterday, and like 18 or 20 thumbs up. So, I mean, people are liking it, and that's I mean, I hope they genuinely like it, but it drives him to do more. So it's awesome. So anybody out there that watches his stuff, thank you. I mean, thank you for watching, and thanks for giving him thumbs up, and thanks for giving my kid a fat head. He struts around like he's like the bomb now. So, and he's convinced that we're going to show up at Orlando Maker Faire tomorrow and be the biggest 3D printer people there, you know, just because it's Orlando and not New York.
I recognize them right away at New York Maker Faire.
Well, it's hard to miss. I'm very about branding. You know, I'm very, you know. But yeah, we do try to have fun. Thank you. I don't know if you heard the story, but it was I used to have a T-shirt company, and it was my T-shirt company logo, and he was just sitting around not doing anything. So, you know, when we started this, I said, yeah, let's just take the whole Fun King thing on over, and so.
Yeah, I need to work on mine. I actually have a friend that she does illustrations of makers, of her friends that she has that are makers, and she did like this really beautiful, and I think my icon, you can't see it, but my icon for the Mitch 3D is my picture, and then she drew it with like basically a caricature of me with 3D printers in the background and filament spools and stuff. So it's really cool, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't translate to a YouTube icon or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to work on the actual logo. But that is part of it, is branding. It's trying to come up with a recognizable logo. Like the practical printing one is really good.
Yeah, I would have to say that 90% of it is branding. I mean, Xander and I just started, I mean, really at the end of May, and to already be at what, 339, I think it's scrolling across right now, 339 subscribers, because I do brand myself and push myself, and you know, I force myself on people. I'm like, you're gonna like me, and you're gonna. So, but no, it's
and we
important.
just got flagged for not able to advertise.
What's that?
Yeah, the monetization for this just went yellow because you said you forced yourself upon people.
Oh.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine this even being monetized at all, or any of your YouTube stuff right now.
You can monetize it.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as the Friday stream, whatever my defaults are is what this is set to.
Yeah, the default should be set to monetized.
I'm just a big fan of YouTube Red. Like, just pay Google directly. Don't kill people with ads. I don't know. If you want to support people, Patreon's a good way to do it.
YouTube Red's not too bad. I mean, just because of the fact that, you know, at least the YouTube creators do get more from a YouTube Red subscriber view than they do from a regular non-YouTube Red. The percentage is higher. I forget what it is, but it's not. I mean, it's not like you're getting dollars more or something.
I've asked this on YouTube and I didn't get any feedback. But have any of you guys looked into this Viuli? It's VIULY. It just launched. They're kind of in alpha, I guess it is. But and it's I don't know how I feel about it. I jumped onto it because I figured I didn't have anything to lose, and I got paid to sign up and post my first video. I got 150 of their Viuli tokens, which tie over to a cryptocurrency, which I don't really know anything about. I've been meaning to learn, but I think it worked out to be about $8 or $15 or something worth of tokens just for signing up. And I was going to buy in. I was going to go ahead and make us just a small, like $50 investment into it, you know, buy in on the launch. And it whatever the cryptocurrency that they used to buy the tokens, like to buy one was $300. Yeah. So what was that, John?
It's Ethereum.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, ETH. Yeah. So, but I mean, have you guys looked into this service at all, or am I just flying blind by myself?
First time I heard about it, and I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, well, I mean, go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Glenn. I was going to say, I know I've heard you talk about it in the past or mention it in the past. I'm just sort of, I don't know. I'll probably, if something comes and beats out YouTube and becomes more popular than YouTube, I'll probably end up switching it over to it way too late.
Yeah, well, see, I wasn't even thinking about a replacement as. Of course, they want it to be a replacement too, but there's no reason you can't run them both at the same time. If you're uploading something that you've already made to YouTube, so you upload it to this Viuli as well, and I don't know. I mean, if it's going to, I mean, they talk about how they're going to pay you more. You know, like they keep less than the content creator, and then you get paid for watching videos as well. So it's not just the content creators, it's the users. And obviously you're not going to get a lot, you know, you're not going to get tons for watching, but then you can use that money that you got to donate Like you can say, yes, I like this creator and I want to give them some of my tokens, or obviously you can cash them out however you want to do it. But I mean, the theory behind it is great. What kind of got me today was I got an email, which like I got both emails at the same time. They were there when I got up this morning, but one of them was, hey, we've airdropped the tokens and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like an hour later, no, that wasn't from us. That's a scam email. And so I called them out on Twitter. I'm like, so what happened? Was your system compromised? How did these people get my email address if it's a scam, But nobody's answering that question. So I don't know.
They take part in the Friday 3D print hangout, and they listen to you.
Well, no, it's not that my email is a secret, But I mean, if more than me got this email, obviously the system got compromised, and nobody's admitting to that yet. But yeah, it's Viuly, Viuly.
It's the world's first decentralized video sharing platform.
Yeah, so .com is their main site, but if you go to .io, that's where you can sign up for the alpha.
.io, okay, so
yeah.
Viuly.
.com has the white paper, and I read the whole white paper, and I'm a very smart guy. I'm not to float my own boat, but I am very intelligent, and I know a lot of technical stuff. But I've never gotten into cryptocurrency. So like that's a really, really shady area for me. I'm not even sure, like this create a wallet. And
what I suggest you do is watch Bitcoin on Netflix. That'll give you the 0 to 60 in about an hour and a half.
Bitcoin on
they're
Netflix.
all pretty much the same idea, right? It's
blockchain mentality. That's all.
I got on Bitcoin when it first became popular, and I managed to mine like 1.7. And then the first time it hit $1,000, I sold it off.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I mean, I could be upset about it, but I'm like, I could also be that guy that spent 50 or 60 of them to buy a pizza. So I'm like, I still made more. Like the hardware I was using was $200, so I mined off $200 hardware, and I made like $1,700 or whatever it was. No, it was more than that, but. So I'm happy with that. It's good enough.
So $5 Canadian?
No, $1,700. Wait, you screwed up the conversion. Over $1 million Canadian.
Oh, okay. So you can buy a pizza with that, right?
Yeah, I traded them for some dingery dues.
Yeah, I looked into mining the currency quite some time ago, but at that point they were already saying it was too late, that you would consume more power.
Yeah,
you pay more out in your electric bill than you were going to make in Bitcoin.
They didn't.
Do you have any extension cords, Glenn?
Do I have extension cords? Well, of course, I do a big Christmas light.
Yeah. So you tap in your neighbor's house, and then it's his electricity that you're using. Problem solved.
Well, but I mean,
take a little Raspberry Pi case and plug it in. Make one of your backs for your Raspberry Pi case. Make it so it can plug right onto somebody's receptacle and blend in.
Right.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Well, okay, so on a different. Related to Raspberry Pi, so there was malware that was going around somehow. I'm not sure how, but it was the Raspberry Pis that were doing the transactions for Bitcoin, and it was profiting organized crime. So go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry.
So wait a minute. It was like a malware going around onto people's Pis. They didn't know it.
Yeah.
Almost like the SETI project.
Yeah.
But they didn't know they were doing it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's genius. I mean, that's horrible. Why would anybody?
It's genius.
Well, Asus makes a main board now. It's the I want to say it's like the B250 mining something, but it's actually a motherboard that's just got a crap ton of PCIe slots on it that you can then farm out to the different. You go out to an external video card. Because they're, obviously everybody's now using video cards to mine. So I've kind of looked into that, but
so
the difference
between Bitcoin and Ethereum, the way my colleague explained it, so Bitcoin they have it down to the ASIC, right, and then you're pretty much screwed. Ethereum is somehow they prevent it from being able to get put into an ASIC. So he said it kind of screws the gaming market for us, right? So if you want to buy a video card, now you're also competing with the demand of those who are mining Ethereum.
Yeah, the 1070 GTX 1070s are it's the Radeon cards that actually are.
Yeah, the entire ATI
the
collection.
580. Yeah.
Also, word to the wise for everybody that's watching: if you're buying a used video card, try and find out what they were doing with it, because this stuff pushes the cards hard. So a lot of times, if you've got a card that's been mining for 6 months to a year, or whatever, it's effectively eaten like 3/4 of the life off that card.
Yeah,
so.
That is true. Man, we should turn this into Tech Talk Friday.
Yeah.
Although now it's Saturday, so that's at least on the East Coast.
Well, I'm going to go play racing games. So I'm going to head out and hopefully fix some 3D printers too. Speaking of actual 3D printer talk, I probably should fix my printers, but I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna run out here and I'm gonna take some pictures of shooting stars from the meteor shower. So
cool.
Yeah, well, being that Mitch is leaving, I'm gonna leave too.
Yeah, you should probably go to bed.
I gotta go to bed. I gotta be up in the morning. Yeah. This is a lot later than
I'm gonna leave.
You guys are addictive. You know, it's hard to leave.
You hang up first. I'm not gonna hang up first. You hang up first.
You know what the worst part was? I know you said addictive, but it stuttered on my side, and all you guys are a dick.
Well, it's after midnight.
that is what I said. I didn't say addictive. That's funny. I hope it actually went out on YouTube that way. That I just called you all a dick.
Addictive.
So, but no, seriously, guys, I am going to duck out. I got to go to bed. I'm going to go and have fun at Maker Faire tomorrow, and then through the course of the next few weeks, I'll rub it in on how amazing it was. I'm sure it's not going to be like New York. It's
take lots of video.
Stop talking about New York. That's still a sore point for me. I'm the one, if nobody knows, that was in New York during Maker Faire and couldn't actually go.
Yeah. You were at Times Square, right?
Yeah. All right. I guess sounds like we're gonna call it here. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody who co-hosted tonight, and we'll see everybody back here on November 3rd, I think it was.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
See you, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.